Peace, 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 power, prosperity, everybody. Rob Blackstorm. How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good day, great afternoon, and awesome night. And if you're not, I hope you're working on making it better. What I wanted to talk about tonight is we just had this full moon in Virgo, and there's like a 3 to 4 day window where you can still play and manipulate the energy. And what I wanted to talk about is really something kind of simple, but things that we kind of ignore. And the first thing I want to talk about is the overall topic is steel sharpens steel. And when you're talking about steel sharpening steel, you're not talking about an easy process. The process that you're talking about with steel sharpening steel is you're talking about something rough going against something rough and creating a spark, right? So it's similar to the phoenix rising from the ashes. Now, the full moon in Virgo, when you're talking about Virgo, they're talking about the virgin, right? Virginity, purity, right? And in some terms, it would be considered Virgo, the virgin would be like someone who had OCD, someone who was always cleaning up, always, you move a couple centimeters, they're gonna move it right back, So and there's people like that, right? This is real life. So it's that type of energy. It's the energy where you're always keeping up appearances, you're making sure things are neat and tidy, and you're becoming more organized, right? Because it's all about giving off an appearance of purity. Virgo the Virgin is always being that it is feminine energy. There is a form of vanity in it, right? There's a form of glory. When you're doing spiritual work, you should always look for the reward in your spiritual work, right? And the reward from the work should be that you are starting to shine or you are starting to glow in some way. It doesn't mean you're just manifesting things. Manifesting things, material things, goods and things like that. Those are things that serve you here in the physical realm. Those are things that serve you in humanity. So that is part of the yin and yang. That's the balance. That's the yang. When you have to do things, you have to do things to create money. You have to do things to create wealth. And you have to do, and of course, with that, you acquire things that you have to manage and be responsible for. So as you're going along this process, you are basically learning and growing and developing um, personal accountability, right? And personal responsibility. So as you are sharpening your sword, the steel is sharpening steel. You're burning up like the phoenix rising from the ashes. You are going through a process that can be painful to become as pure as the virgin, right? Because even if you look at um like the way the Catholics deify their saints, and if you look at the Virgin Mary, she usually has a glow on the outside of her, right? There's usually, even if you look at Jesus, right, there's a halo, a glow. There's always some type of fiery references or some type of flaming references when you're dealing with deities of transformation or deities of change. Jesus, even if you look at him as just an archetype, right, or just a theme, right, you could look at him as an agent for personal transformation and change. Jesus wasn't talking about the stock market and making money and how to trade forex, right? Jesus was talking about personal development, personal responsibility, and spiritual transformation, right? That was his lane. So with that, there is going to come some fires. There is going to be a steel sharpening steel, a spark, as you're going through the process of growing and developing spiritually, even working in the occult, right? Doing ceremonial magic, the left hand path, having altars, using seals, sigils, candles, herbs, all these things coincide with you being active, right? But there's also a right hand path where you're dealing with mental work, binaural beats, theta waves, um, scripting, right? Writing things out, meditation, prayer, using the right hand, the imaginative part of the brain, the part of the brain that Christians capture. They are right hand path, right? Traditional religions are mostly right hand path. The Abrahamic religions, the Islam, the Christianity, those are right hand path religions, believe it or not. And the left-hand path is like the Wiccans, people into the occult, people into esoteric knowledge and wisdom, people in mystery schools, right? They're working with crystals and, amethyst and, they're working with, using different magical concoctions, right? Sage and working with herbalism and, different things to create and using basically, because all these things are mathematical equations, right? When you're creating like an Oshun ritual, for example, right? And you have the 5 oranges, you have the yellow and green candles, right? You have the statue of Oshun. If you want to do that, you might have some sunflowers, you might have some sunflower seeds, right? Some honey, boom, and you're doing the ritual. That ritual is basically like a 2 + 2 = 4. It's a mathematical equation. So when you're dealing with math, you're dealing with growth. And growth requires ascension. So whenever there's ascension, there's going to be some form of, when there's ascension, there's always some sort of breakage, right? Even the butterfly coming out of the cocoon, or the caterpillar actually going into the cocoon and transforming into a butterfly. There's always some type of breakage, some type of change, some type of snap. And the thing about it is we all go through these different type of moments. Your greatest teacher, your greatest healer, your greatest philosopher, the greatest person you know, on TV, YouTube, whatever, social media, church, wherever you get them. There's processes and there's times in life where challenges erupt, where things don't go right, where things fall out of whack, because the earth is ultimately chaos, right? We're dealing with a universe that deals with chaos ultimately. Once it comes from the mother, once it comes out of the womb, right, there's chaos. Once the baby comes out of the womb, the baby starts crying, right? Most of the time. So there's chaos. There's changes. There's a different environment. So now you have to move different. So now you have to change. Also during a lot of our childhoods, things that we go through, such as poverty, things that we go through, such as mental health issues, things that we get from our parents, things that we get from parents not being there, abandonment, the harsh tragedies, and then on top of that, dealing with just the outside world and the tragedies that we're fed from the outside world and the programming that we're given from the outside world. So the process of achieving this form of Virgo energy or this form of purity is not really about being pure, where you can't go grab a drink or you can't smoke a joint when you want to, or you can't eat a burger every 3 or 4 months, or you can't eat some oxtail. You just got to be ital and vegetarian and just super pure. And for those who want to do that, that's fine. But the middle path is the path where you're using not only, so when you're doing the Oshun ritual, or you're doing a Papa Legba ritual, you got the red and the black, right? You got the top hat, you got the cigar, you got the candy, you got the rum, right? You're doing the left hand things. But now you're going to the right hand path where you're meditating now on that ritual. You're meditating on the principles of what you put into that ritual, the thoughts and the ideas that you're putting into that ritual. You have a petition or a written letter written, so you could tap into the energy of this particular deity. Now, when you're meditating, now when you're going about your day, you're walking, you're driving, you're going to the supermarket, you're washing your clothes, you're starting to go back into these references and reinforce them through your mental energy while you still got the ritual cooking at home. You understand? So you're tapping into you're tapping into your daydreams, and you're tapping into the dreams that you constantly create, either through meditation, constant repetition, reading it over and over, scripting about it, right? Or constantly praying about it. But prayer in this form, right? Going into esoteric knowledge, higher knowledge, because we're going into the age of Aquarius now. So we're going into higher knowledge. We're not relying on one book to tell us what to do anymore. That's just outdated at this point. There's so much online where you could research and study religions and see the things that don't work and the things that don't make sense. And it's really because organized religions, for the most part nowadays, are working with one path. And the whole goal is to get to the middle path where you're combining again ceremonial, the sage, the candles, the herbs, the blood use, right? The sigils, the seals, and all these things, the fruits, right? All these things, to combine them all, but also use the mental work where you're doing the scripting, where you're doing the meditation, where you're doing the prayers, even ritualizing your smoke sessions. If those of you who smoke weed, ritualizing how you, when you smoke weed, what do you listen to? You know what I'm saying? What are you tapping into? What type of energy are you bringing in while you're high? When you drink, what type of energy are you bringing in and are you channeling? Because listen, liquor is called spirits. The other word for liquor, for alcohol, is spirits, or al-ghul, right? Which is a demonic force. So drinking, if you are of a person of a low vibration, you're constantly doubting yourself. You're constantly thinking negative. You constantly have an outlook of the world that's not favorable towards you, because that's controlled by you. And that mentality is missing from the left-hand path. That ceremonial work that's just outward is missing from the right-hand paths, the mental work. So this is about getting into balance and working with this energy at this particular time where we have the full moon of Virgo. It's about that purification process and going through the fire, meaning making the necessary changes and the necessary lifestyle adjustments to match that energy. And it takes time. It's not something that happens in one day. It's not something that happens in 1 week. They say it takes 21 days to make a habit. But I think even if you chop, let's say you go through the 21 days, because I'm realistic, you know what I'm saying? There's some days where you're not going to meditate. There's some days where you're not even really working. Well, I can't really say that, because every day I'm trying to take in something that's going to elevate me in some way, shape, or form. And I think we all should, because life is about growth. A tree doesn't stop growing, right? So there's no reason you should, right? Especially if you look at the brain and the neurons and the synapses as tree branches, right? If you look at the picture parallel. So you should never stop growing, right? But let's say you're not doing a ritual, or, you're just chilling, shit, you're on vacation or whatever, you hanging out, you going to party tonight, you know what I'm saying? You might have partied last night and going to party again tonight, right? So maybe you're not in that necessary frame where you could do something ceremonial, but you could still do the mental work. You could still tap into things that are going to help you grow during the day, not just veg out on Netflix and TV and bullshit and things that conspiracies and speakers that talk about the news and shit that talks about the next bad thing that's coming and the next bad thing that's coming and the next bad thing that's coming, and all these predictions about negativity. Yes, we all want to be aware of what's going on in the world, and we all want to be prepared. But the best way to be prepared is to tap in to the upstairs room, right? The Father said, my house, in the Bible, it says, my house has many mansions. Okay, that is a metaphor if you look at the Bible as a tale, as a book of tales, as an allegory, like Lord of the Rings, like Game of Thrones, like, and picking up like how we decode things like WandaVision. Shout out to everybody who's watching WandaVision. If you're not watching WandaVision on Disney Plus, you're missing out. WandaVision, they going in, and it was what I was talking about. Maybe not the last video, but the video before the last, where I was talking about healing and addressing childhood trauma. Because we're in the age of Aquarius now, and the tools are there. Everyone's talking about mental health now. But when they're talking about mental health, a lot of times they're talking about mental health from a place of you taking some sort of drug, you taking some sort of pill, you going to a doctor and taking some sort of anesthetic or some sort of prescription. And then they want to get you hooked. So it's not really about curing the actual condition of depression or anxiety or stress. It's about prescribing you something so that they could get you addicted and keep you coming back for more and more, and have you, and now you're a customer. You're a constant customer and consumer of something that you don't know what the wear and tear after 5, 2, 6, 1 month of these particular prescriptions that these people are providing you. But a lot of people swear by them. I'm not here to knock anyone who's on prescriptions, but what I am here to say is there's things like St. John's wort, St. John's wort tea to help cure anxiety, depression, because they work on the nerve in the body. So St. John's wort tea, there's things like I was gonna say ayahuasca, but ayahuasca does work too. But that's a psychedelic. That's for another day. Um, there's also ashwagandha. You get ashwagandha in a tincture, or you could get the ashwagandha herb. Either one. And this was also the St. John's wort too. You could get in the tea, and you get the ashwagandha herb. These things help the nervines in the body, because the nervous system is what makes you anxious, is what makes you stressed out, and what makes the breathing come. Because once the nervous system is excited, and that heat, right, you turn into the phoenix, the caterpillar rising out of the cocoon, you even ascending into the astral plane once you leave this physical body. It's about you vibrating high enough, right? Because as you talk about low vibrations, you're talking about this. But as you talk about higher vibrations, now it's speeding up. So that's an excitement. And that is also a form of steel sharpening steel, right? Steel sharpening steel to create a spark. So part of this Virgo energy is also about binding and being around others that are going to help you sharpen your steel, that are going to help you create new realities, that are going to help you create new mindsets, that are going to help you into a path to where most of your focus is on your growth, your development, and being around people that help you focus on your growth and development and your encouragement. And also maintaining your own peace of mind as well. So when you interact with these people, and you're not basically trying to get over, you're not trying to manipulate them, you're not really trying to get anything out of the relationship but wisdom. And with that wisdom, and you're really seeking to get wisdom from somebody, because people like to talk about themselves. That's a basic marketing principle or sales principle. People love to let people talk about themselves, and they'll tell you everything, right? Just ask questions. People love to talk about themselves, especially successful people. They love to talk about what they've done. They love to talk about what they've created, what they've built, what they've manifested, right? It's a pride thing, right? And people love to do it. So it's all about being pure of heart enough to even engage on that level to where you don't think you have to get over on somebody, or somebody doesn't have to get over on you. And even if there is some sort of transgression that goes by, as long as it's not something that's detrimental to your life or your life path or your life purpose, that is something that you could overcome, and get over. Some people hold grudges for forever. I have people in my family that hold grudges for shit that happened 15, 20 years ago. Like, that's crazy. You're walking around with that weight on your heart for 15, 20 years. And a lot of these things, even some of the things we saw in the news in 2020, 2019, we got to work on, growing out of feeding on the addiction or the magnetism towards certain drama and certain pain and certain tragedies, even some of the police tragedies that happen to, melanated people, even some of that. Not to say that you erase it, not to say that you don't understand the reality of it, but the magnetic attraction, the heart attraction, the weight that it holds. And part of the purification process is realizing that things are going to happen. This is a big world, billions of people. Unfortunately, bad things are going to happen. And our job is to always stay focused on the man in the mirror, first and foremost, then the family, and then expand to the world like that. But the first focus is always the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror, and your personal growth, development, and accountability towards that growth and development, and what you're really doing to spur that growth and development over time. Because it's about the work. It's about that left-hand path work. It's not just mental. It's not just thinking about it. No one's coming to save you. There's no Nibiru coming to save you. Jesus is not coming to save you. Allah's not coming to save you. Buddha's not coming to save you. Okay? No one's coming to save you. There's no aliens that's coming to save you. The Orishas are not going to save you. The gods are not going to save you. You have to save yourself. And part of saving yourself is doing this work to heal. Shout out to WandaVision. Heal your childhood trauma. Utilize this magic to help heal your childhood trauma. One of the things they said in the last episode, she was like, yo, you got all this power and you using it to make breakfast at nighttime? And I thought that was so clever because she was telling her that there was so much power within her heart, so much magic that she had within her. But because she was weighed down by so much pain from her past, because the character Wanda in WandaVision, for those who haven't seen it, is a character that went through a lot of tragedy in the Marvel Universe. So tap into that Marvel Universe because it's basically our modern day mythology. They're going to be talking about these Avenger movies in like 2040, 2050 and decoding them because it's our modern day mythology and for what's happening now. But anyway, the age of Ultron is really about the age of technology, the age of AI, the age of the computer that we're on. You see in New York, they already got the robot dogs walking around New York City. So if you think that's just the beginning, there's more coming. You know what I'm saying? China is beefing up and bossing up. If you look at some foreign news articles, you'll see that China is on its way to start developing, um, technology. They have robots now that in China and Japan that are basically assisting people, like personal robots, and they call them pets, like robotic pets. So growth in technology is happening. There's going to be a lot of shocking new things, a lot less privacy. Okay. There's ways to hack into the VPN. There's ways to hack into our phones. If we want to have social media, there's ways to hack in. Okay. So don't preoccupied so much with what's going on in the world. Be more preoccupied with what's going on in you. Be more preoccupied with how weighed down you are by the world, how weighed down you are by current events, things that have nothing to do with you, how weighed down you are by the news that happens in your neighborhood, the worst stories that happen in your neighborhood that really don't connect to you. These once in a blue moon events that aren't really connected. And I'm not saying don't totally become a monk and not be aware of what's going on around you. But a lot of these things, if you didn't tap into social media, if you didn't tap into the news, you wouldn't even be stressed out, because these news stories and these events and these outcomes, they stress people out. They cause depression, they cause anxiety. And a lot of times they're not even connected to you personally. And part of going through the fire is realizing that and understanding that going through the fire also means that there is going to be separation in the steel sharpens steel. Because if your steel is sharp and another person's steel isn't sharp, right, or they aren't sharpening steel, guess what? One steel is going to break the other. And that breaking process, nobody wants to feel broken. You want one person that's going to sharpen you the same way you sharpen them. And this is not just in an intimate relationship, but relationships in general, personal and professional, as much as you can make them. So it's really about us getting to a point of looking at our lives and really seeing, especially during this time period, where we need to sharpen up, where we need to purify up, where we need to tidy up, where we need to get a little OCD and start implementing discipline and start implementing plans and start implementing serious plots and not let anyone stop us and not care about what other people think. Don't give a fuck about other people's judgments and move on purpose. And if you don't know what that purpose is, turn off the TV, turn off the radio, turn off everything at night, sit there for an hour in the darkness, and it'll start coming to you, and start that practice, even if you don't want to meditate. You know how hard it is for some people to sit down in a room for an hour and not do anything but think. But a lot of times people, that don't do that, unfortunately, life and the universe throws them a hand where they go to prison, or they have their leg gets broke, or their arm gets broke. Sometimes these are spiritual things that happen to show you, in fact, everything that happens to us is for our benefit and growth, believe it or not. And some of it is karma from a past life, and not karma in the way you're taught, like, if you the karma the way you're taught, like if you curse, or if you're an asshole or something like that you're going to you are going to get that type of energy back. But the energy, like if I always say this, like if you're hungry and you steal a can of tuna fish from the store, like, you're not doing that to harm anybody. Your intention is not to hurt anybody, not even the store. Your intention is just to eat. And if you came to ask, they ain't gonna give it to you, and you may not have the resource. So that's desperation. You know what I'm saying? So that's desperation. Even an animal would go ham if they didn't have no food. So that's just, we have to eat to survive. So that's not so. But if the intent is bad, it's about the energy behind what you do. You could tell a motherfucker fuck you, or you could tell a motherfucker fuck you, and it's totally different energy. So with that being said, with this full moon in Virgo energy, one of the rituals we could get engaged with, very simple one, write the things that you don't want on a piece of paper. And once you write these things that you don't want on a piece of paper, go outside somewhere, get a lighter or some matches, burn it, and let it go. And you could, if you catch this video Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, still do the same thing. Just write out the things that you want to eliminate, the things that you want to get rid of, and be sincere. Put on some music if you need to that relaxes you, that puts you in a peaceful state of mind. Get busy, pen and paper, boom. Go outside, light it, burn it, and give it out, give it to the universe, and move forward. And let go of the things that you want to let go. All right, and with that said, peace, power, and prosperity. Hit me up if you need readings. Hit me up if you need to engage in the elemental magic class. Shout out to everybody who's doing the classes, the graduates. We are healing, manifesting things, doing great things. So hit me up if you're interested in that. Hit me up if you're interested in readings. Hit me up if you're interested in dream decoding. And again, with that being said, peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Blackstorm, I'm out.